inside of me. You better watch out if you ignite me. A road ahead of full prophecy to be the greatest beast the world has ever seen. I feed him every day like the bones clean. I feed him all the hate and he grows me. And he gets claws real big, pissed off quick. And if you cross him, you might drop dead. Metaphorically, of course, settling this world.
All right, everybody, welcome into Real Talk with Spoon and Pudding. I don't know how that got up. I had it all the way down. I did.
Riding. You were doing that drive home with your morning porn. I got it. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, let me do my stroke and stop, so I can make it home and not fall asleep.
I can promise you that wasn't happening.
I hope not. I was on the phone. Could have been kind of perverted.
Oh, baby.
Oh, God.
Primary purpose of this podcast is educate and share thoughts and opinions. When we have proof and evidence on the topic, it will be brought forth. Do not constitute advice or services to anyone. Spoon and Pudding do not accept any responsibility or liability for anyone, our guests, or anyone's comments or actions based on material we talk about on our podcast. This podcast is for private, non-commercial use, and everyone should ascertain the information we provide is correct and verified at all times. There shall be no adding to editing, reproduction of this podcast without prior written permission from Spoon and Pudding. You can reach us at realtalkwithspoonandpudding@gmail.com.
Oh.
What's going on this morning?
Oh, man. Working around the house, cleaning up. Waiting on you to get home since we didn't go have some breakfast. But
let's talk about.
I know you soggy.
There's going to be a lot of people's have a long cleanup today or the days ahead with. That's my little girl.
A little sound effect of a child sneeze in the morning.
Yeah. She's over
child sneeze on a cold Christmas morning.
She's over here working on a art project or something.
Oh boy!
But let's hope
Clarksville to Nashville.
Everybody's safe. Well, you had tornadoes in Clarksville, Nashville, Madison,
Springfield,
Hendersonville, Gallatin, Springfield. Well, it started in Orlando. But I guess it didn't do much damage there. But when it got to Springfield, it did. So
I heard it hit the Kroger in Springfield. I delivered there a couple times back when I was working for First Fleet. Yeah.
I hope nobody live any of those. I heard some of the ones in Clarksville did. I'm sure.
I heard 3 in Clarksville and 3 in. I think it was the explosion down in Nashville or Goodlettsville, Hendersonville. Yeah.
Well, we not only pray for the ones that lost things, we pray for the families who lost loved ones. So,
well, so what do you?
You wouldn't think December you would have to worry about pop-up tornadoes, but
no, it's normally not the time. I'm trying this background without the green screen. I don't know if it's doing better or not. I can just turn it off for now. Huh?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
All right.
Let me figure out how to turn that shit off. I can hear you now. Where'd you go?
I'm here.
Oh, I know. You muted it. I know what you're doing. I can hear it. Click mute.
I'm just testing you.
Testing. There's blur. Oh. And then there's none. All right. Yeah. I go to the piano. All right. So what's your topic for today, Spoon?
Well, that was my only real topic was
what? Just a news. It's been a whole week. Did you watch the debate?
I did not. I heard a lot. I heard a lot coming out of it.
Vivek was. I don't know. You got what? Oh,
comment. It seems like it's being regular and regular.
Yeah, I think the one 2 years ago hit. The one hit 2 years ago hit Topgolf. I remember. It smacked downtown Nashville almost. I don't think it was this late in the season though.
Well, I live in a modular home on a brick foundation.
Yeah, usually they're a magnet for a tornado.
Yeah. So before I left work, I told the wife and I told my son, I said, hey, if it gets bad here, you need to get underneath the house. Then my little girl's like, I'm not getting under there with spiders. I'm like, well, you're going to die or you're going to climb over the house with spiders. You know, you got to pick your poison there.
That's it.
The only thing I can say about the debate is I think it's funny that Mr. Trump never shows up to debate, but he has his little separate rallies. I'm still hopeful for the RFK and Vivek independent campaign.
Oh, I am. Oh, I am, because I think Vivek is absolutely just really pissing them off. It's some guy said the other day, I was watching somebody that was having commentary on it, and they were what the hell are you doing with your straw, you damn, you flunking donuts, man. He said, why in the world don't we pick younger presidents that know that they're going to have to spend another 40, 50 years in the world that they're leaving us? And I was like, that was an interesting point. We're sitting here picking these 70, 80-year-old assholes who are going to die in 10, 20 years.
Well, who's the two,
leaving us a shitty world.
All right.
Okay. Nope.
Who's the two youngest presidents we've had in a long time? John F. Kennedy, then Barack Obama.
JFK, Barack Obama. Well, Obama was a younger one. I mean, and so was Bush at number 2. But I mean, still, it was a good point that why aren't we picking the people that are in their 30s and 40s that are like I believe.
Well, you got to be 35 to even run for president.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, so 35 passed, but like I think Vivek is like the perfect candidate. Honestly, 38 years old, worth $800 million. Trump without the baggage. Knows his damn history. I mean, the guy knows his history. And I sit there
and like the farmer. That's the only thing that scares me.
Farmer. A farmer? I don't know, man. I mean, he made his money, if he won, he'd probably be assassinated. He'd probably be the next, because he ain't for the click. The click people don't like him. And I don't think he's got a shot in hell. My only belief is, him and RFK team up, go on the libertarian ticket, and then absolutely put a third person on the presidential debate. But you think about this: this country is what 200 and almost 250 years old from its Declaration of Independence. Well, the Declaration of Independence, 1776, which would be we're 3 years from that.
Yeah,
1791 was the Constitution, but we started out as a Confederacy. So you had the Confederacy from 1776 to 1791. And this is, I mean, I guess in the beginning there really wasn't presidential debates, but I remember Andrew Jackson, he debated. He had to debate people. They were having debates, but at that time it wasn't like all the people were going and voting. There were heated debates for, Lincoln. He was hugely contested. So in the mid 1800s, so you think about that, 160 years ago, Lincoln was in huge heated debates about becoming president. And here we are with possibly the two people, your two choices on your plate ain't going to debate nobody.
And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You only get two choices.
The two choices are definitely, it's definitely proof that you don't have a choice. And I try to say that to people all the time.
Everything in this country, whether it's a cup of coffee, a cold drink, a T-shirt, a pair of shoes, you got endless choices that you want. You can pick from. But when it comes to deciding who's going to be the head of the supposed greatest nation in the world, you get two choices.
I believe it
Clown
was.
one,
The greatest. I believe
Clown
it
two.
was the greatest. Well, I believe it was the greatest nation. I don't. If we can't,
We were.
if we
We're not
can't
anymore.
fix this, if we can't fix this election problem, it's not. The elections are definitely, and you know, it's. And I don't know how long it's been a problem for a while, but I mean, I wasn't a Republican after 2009. I went to the Tea Party and I stuck in it, and I was like, nope, I ain't never going back. Never was a Democrat. Just because most of their side hasn't never been like the social programs. I just know the government. That's not, the general welfare clause was an expression, not a duty. It wasn't a command. It was an expression to promote the general welfare, which means let people pick themselves up by their bootstraps, not here's a check. That wasn't, here's a check. And by the way, the guys that are out working are going to pay for it, completely against that. And y'all people, if you've never read the Communist Manifesto, like one of our mutual friends, Dale, I'm his favorite little commie. Hey, I have read it. I have read it, and we're quite frankly, literally two clauses away from being communist. I mean, literally. I mean, pretty much everything from the communist, the 10 platitudes of the Communist Manifesto are already in place in this country. And they snuck in over the past 100 years, and people don't know it.
It's just like the amendments. Anything that's passed after 1900 should be repealed. That's what I think.
I don't know. I disagree with you. 2 terms of president, that shouldn't be repealed.
Well, but when did it come in? When did it
after FDR? You got to remember one thing. There were 2 of them amendments was banning of alcohol, then reinstatement of alcohol. So, I mean, there were 2 that were kind of just pointless. It's kind of stupid.
Yeah, you take those away anyway. But what did the
they kind of cancel each other out.
What did the government do in that process, though? They had prohibition. You had the big thing. They poisoned and killed thousands of their citizens with tainted alcohol.
Tuskegee project or Tuskegee experiments, and what was it, Operation Sea Spray, where they sprayed poison. I think they sprayed poison on San Francisco to see how the people would react. Your government's mad, people. They are madmen. They don't care.
I mean, we can go on and on. We started off with Wounded Knee and Waco.
9/11, telling everybody that there's no asbestos in the air, it's safe to breathe, while you go to the federal buildings and all their employees are wearing N95 gas masks. Yeah. Wonder why that was. We protect our own, but the rest of you serves piss on you. We don't care.
9/11 itself was the inside job.
Well, that was, I was a little upset with Vivek for not saying Building 7. I wish he would have said Building 7, but he said Saudi Arabia involvement. He did bring 2001 up and Saudi Arabia involvement that has been proven for the hot. But I was there thinking, man, come on, Building 7, man, say it. Say it already. Make people go back and look and say to themselves, and y'all people, Trump's lie. I mean, about seeing people on the rooftops cheering when the towers fell. Muslims on the rooftop. Remember that?
Yep.
Do y'all not remember this? It's like, what's that Mandela effect? You people just can't remember shit. It's like,
the other day in his rally that he was doing when he should have been at the debate, he said, this is something he said. He said, I will not be a tyrant except for day one. Day one, I'll be a tyrant, but the rest of my presidency, I won't be.
Jeez, what a dick.
That's what I don't understand. That's what I don't understand about Lincoln. A lot of people revere and everything, and he wasn't nothing but a tyrant.
Oh, no. He arrested almost half the legislature of Maryland. Arrested them.
Yeah.
Because they were going to vote to secede, and he knew it. So he arrested the people of the legislature of the state of Maryland who were Confederates and states' rightists. I mean, in the end, it's states' rights. That's really what it was about. You know, the word Confederacy draws a lot of people into racism, slavery, you know. That's that's the government propagandist gaslighting that you don't understand what Confederate is. And if you don't go back and read what because Franklin penned it, it was Franklin. In 1776, we needed a form of government to operate under. And in a rush, after the Declaration, Franklin quickly penned out the Articles of Confederation, you know, where the states were like individual countries. That's really what it was. There was no unifying body. Basically, what come 15 years later was a unification of those states to, you know, like band together. Like it was probably, actually, honestly, truthfully, the first form of fascism, or one of the, you know, beginning forms of fascism, if you think about it, because fascism is just a bunch of people acting together. And, you know, I remember I called that guy and I was asking who hung the fascist symbols in Congress in late 1940s. And I told him about it, and then he looked at the symbols and he said, those are on the front of the Lincoln's chair in the, you know, on the Lincoln Monument in DC. Yep. Those symbols, the fast geese symbols, you know, the bounds of sticks with a weapon in the middle of it, you know, bound by a wreath or whatever. And they are. I went and looked at it, and there they are. They're, you know, under Lincoln's hands. There's a bound of sticks bound together with an axe sticking out the top of it. You know, an old Latin fast geese is, you know, so that's the history of fascism. But you think about it, in 1791, when the 13 colonies bound together as a unifying body for certain purposes and limited central government, which we've forgotten what limited is. So when those, you know, when that happened, that was probably the birth of fascism, honestly. You know, it's just Marx defined it in the 1850s with Engels in the Communist Manifesto. You know, and then Albert Pike, number one Mason. I need to look up and see if his statue is still on federal ground in D.C. You know, he was another history fact y'all can look up. Albert Pike, he was a Confederate general, and he's the only Confederate general who has a statue on federal grounds in Washington, D.C. Every other Confederate general, you know, General Lee.
Well, they pretty much tore down all the Southern statues of Confederates, right?
Yeah, I know. But what I'm saying, I'm curious. That's what I'm saying after BLM. Did they get Albert Pike, or was his statue protected to show you how important he was to the hidden secret shadow government? But if you think about that, General Lee doesn't have a statue up there, but he was the general that Abraham Lincoln first wrote a letter to command the Army of the North. And General Lee resigned, and he said, I will not attack my brothers to the South. I'm a Virginian first. And he went home to Virginia and resigned from the U.S. Army. Y'all don't know that little fact of nugget of history. You know, that evil General Lee, the Southerner, he was supposed to be, you know, Lincoln's number one choice for general.
See, that's why I say that the tyrant Lincoln, you know, like you said, you know, him arresting most of the legislators were Maryland, so they couldn't succeed. He knew he all the news, all the, you know, news people, the press, all the press in the Northeast, every one of them that had Confederate sympathizers or sympathized with the states' rightist were all shut down. He sent the army and shut them down so that they could not print the truth about why there was a secession. Right. He refused to let the people of the North read why the South was leaving. The South was leaving because they weren't going to let the tyrant on the Potomac tell them what they have to do. That's just facts in history. And just as General Lee, who was supposed to be Lincoln's number one general in the North,
he was number one, first choice.
When he went back home and said, I'm not going to kill my brothers and sisters of the South, I don't understand why people reveal Lincoln as he's this great person when I don't look at him any different than I look at Hitler or Stalin or some of those people, because all he did was murder his own people.
Oh, I know. And like I said, get in the comments and argue with me, you know. Show me how Lincoln was such a revered, wonderful man. He was worried about his legacy because the country was falling apart under his watch. And
the first people they're going to say he freed the slaves. No, that's not what the Emancipation Proclamation was not.
The Emancipation Proclamation freed the slaves
in the rebelling states.
Read it again. Don't take my word for it, people. I'm just, I've read it. I've read it a couple times.
If you think people in the North didn't have slaves,
they did. Yeah, some of them did.
For you. The first slave owner in America. Do you
know
who
it was? It was a black man.
Anthony Johnson, a black man, first slave owner in America.
Wasn't he in Virginia? I mean, still, basically, okay, so the slave trade was pretty much abolished in the North, but owning slaves wasn't. It was that came later. Yeah, they still owned them. The trade was over.
The South didn't have that many more slaves than the North had.
I suggest people do their history. That's why I think people like Vivek is, at least he's up there spouting history, other than these talking heads like Christie and that Nikki Haley lady. Oh my God, what a train wreck they are. I think DeSantis scares them. I think they are scared of DeSantis because he did say some pretty good stuff at the last debate. But I think DeSantis scares the establishment because they don't know what he's going to do, and he is young.
So who was part of it besides DeSantis and Vivek?
On the Republican side, nobody. The other two are they're the establishment. They're going to push the Ukraine war, the Israel war. They'll push all the war. They'll throw all the money. They don't care about our cash. They'll throw it all towards it because their buddies in the government are going to.
That's standard Republican war.
Well, neocon. Well, he called him flat out neocon. I think my favorite line was, he's like, you can put lipstick on a Cheney, it's still a Dick Cheney. I was like, oh my God.
Absolutely.
But he was good. I was really impressed with him, and DeSantis seems, center right, but I think DeSantis might be I think the established, because it seems like after DeSantis really started coming out against Trump, that's when the Democrats started going after him. And I don't know if it's all just orchestrated to turn Trump into a martyr, because once somebody's a martyr, they're sympathized with. And I was sitting there thinking, and I thought about this, and I was sitting there, I wanted to say this. You took a guided tour through the Capitol building. You've been prosecuted, been probably arrested. You've definitely been interrogated, but the instigator is walking free, and he's been walking free.
Yeah.
And you people don't see it, that he's not part of the damn establishment. He's still walking free. So let me just say it this way on a counterpoint. There are a few people in Oklahoma City when mandatory life sentences were handed out in the early 90s for crack cocaine. I've seen the guy's interview. He is in Oklahoma in a federal prison serving a life sentence without the possibility of parole for having crack cocaine. But Hunter Biden can smoke crack on camera and is walking around free amongst everyone. So you tell me that the law is equal and fair, and I'll tell you, you're full of shit. Period.
It's not even equal and fair in this small town, much less on the federal.
No,
level.
I know it isn't. It ain't equal or fair to nobody. But where I'm saying is you just look at the fact that there's a man who was selling crack, and the amount was so much in the early 90s when he put a minute. He is still in jail today without the possibility of parole for crack, but the president's son is smoking it on camera.
It's the same. It's the same.
There's not a problem with that.
It's the same as the police. They set up stings, and they can solicit sticks, and they can solicit to sell you drugs, but you go to jail for that.
They can solicit you to or conspiracy to kill the governor of Michigan and then arrest you for it. But Trump can supposedly be the insurrectionist, and he's still walking around free, and you've got people in jail for years for breaking a window.
How many times have you been indicted? How many times have you been indicted?
It's all a joke, people. They're making fun of you because you guys don't have the common sense to fucking take it in. You gotta, and that's the thing. One of the things I think school really fails in our country is education of listen to one side and the other side, take it in, think about it, and then put out what you believe is the correct direction. But people are so put up a wall so much on one side to say, "Oh, I'm a Republican. I can't listen to anything from the left."
Exactly. You can't even have two adults have that conversation because I'm R, I'm D, I'm red, I'm blue. It's a freaking joke. We're adults.
I was pretty shocked the other day when Dale came around a little bit to it. You know, when he started saying that it's all rigged. I was pretty shocked because I was like, wow, that's a big leap for you to say. I mean, usually you've been Trump. But like Little Spoon, you tell Little Spoon something about he won't talk to you for months.
I set him there. But that's why it makes me so mad when you try to talk to people when they come out and say, I don't want to talk about, I don't want to listen. I'm Republican, I'm red, or I'm Democrat, I'm blue. And I'm like, when did we stop being Americans first?
No, you're supposed to listen to both sides of the argument. You're supposed to sit down and say, okay, this tax is going to go for this. Or should we all contribute to this? Or if if this private entity wants this improvement, let them pay for it. Why do I got to pay for it? Why is all, and it goes all the way from your local town level and, all the way up to the federal government, but the federal government just spends a whole hell of a lot more of it. And we ain't out of the woods on any of that, but I just sit there and I think to myself, I'm like, man, we're literally heading down the road.
Over $30 trillion in debt, but they won't tell us how to spend our money.
No, they want to tell you owe them more for what they've done for you.
Well, of course.
That's what they tell you. Hell no. Anyway, I didn't have too much to say. It was that little epiphany I had the other day driving home, thinking about it and thinking, the government tells you that Trump's the ringleader of the insurrection, but he ain't spent one day in jail. While all the citizens who some just walked around, how dare you move a table or a podium or somebody broke something and you took a piece of it home? How dare you? You're going to jail for years, you piece of shit. So there's two laws, one for the establishment prick, Trump, and one for the people. Just like Hunter Biden, he can smoke crack on camera. Ain't going to jail for it. There's a guy in Oklahoma. I need to look that guy up. You go ahead. You got anything else before we go? I don't have a lot.
The guy of Oklahoma for what?
I'm going to look him up.
For the drugs.
Yeah. You got anything else?
What about the Democratic debates? I ain't heard much of those.
There ain't none. They're going to. Oh, shit. That was something I heard here recently, too. Did you hear that Florida has suspended the Democrats? Whatever they do, their meeting where they're going to. Oh, God. Convention? What is that called? Yes. The Florida Democrats suspended their convention,
state convention,
to choose their choice for president, and the choice will be made for them. So they're not going to allow the Democrats in Florida who believe that Biden's too old or senile a vote.
Who do they have to push? If Hillary's not going to run, and I think she's not going to run, are they going to push Michelle Obama? Are they going to push Kamala? Who are they going to push? I don't think they have anybody they can push.
I don't know. Well, they're going to push Biden or whoever they push.
I'm talking about besides Biden.
Let me see.
We need another Bill Clinton.
See, when is this one? This guy right here, this guy says, one man serving life for 140 grams of crack is one of thousands counting on the First Step Act. We were just crushing lies, said the judge who sentenced Edward Douglas to life in prison under mandatory minimum laws. That's what we were doing. Nearly 16 years since Douglas was sentenced by federal prison by selling 140 grams of crack. and the punishment still confounds him. You know, I ain't never been a saint, blah, blah, blah. And that was 55. That was one. Trying to find a picture of the guy. Anyway, that was the top story, but it seems like they don't want you to see it.
Well, they probably don't.
Oh, wait a minute. November 2nd, 2023. What is that? Okay, man. Wrongly. Oh, tasting freedom. No, that's not right. Anyway, I remember seeing it, but I remember Obama was one that was supposedly supposed to try to help him out, and he never did. He went on out, you know, like whatever, you know, we screwed up. We don't want to admit we screwed up, you know. And again, you know, if he was selling crack, you haven't screwed up, but keeping him in jail for so long, yeah, you did screw up. But there was that one guy, you know, I found one guy story, but you know, it's hard. I'll look up. Maybe I'll look some more for next week. But no, that was pretty interesting. There was a Democrat in Florida who come out and said, you know, he was a huge lifelong Democrat guy in Florida. And I think, you know, he did I seen a video of him saying the party just disenfranchised every Democrat voter in Florida. If this stands, I can't be a Democrat anymore. So
well, see,
they're breaking their party. They don't realize how bad they're severing and fracturing their own party.
Well, that's good. Why don't every state do that? Say, look, as a party, you're not going to pick your lead guy. We're going to send.
We're going to sit back here. We're going to sit back here in our smoke-filled room and tell you who we're going to allow you the privilege of voting for.
But every state send a guy. 50 Republicans, 50 Democrats, 50 Libertarians, 50 Independent. Then narrow it down.
Oh, it would be nice if it was a runoff. That'd be cool as shit, wouldn't it? Could you imagine a long debate runoff where, you know, everybody like, you know, you could have regional runoffs and to a central runoff where the top 5 guys in a debate, you know, they go up and you two debate. All right. And then the audience says, we don't like him, you know, and then you go on to the next round. You know, I mean, good God. It's like, oh God, who was it? This guy was watching it. He said when he gave up his sports, his life changed. He said, my life changed. He said, I can't tell you. He said, for so long, I used to follow stats, and you're guilty of this. You and Red are both guilty of this.
I'm not giving up my sports.
I get it. You're not going to give up your sports, and that's fine. You're always going to stay one tier down. But the guy was saying, and I can send you the link to it. You can watch it. Because he said, when I finally said, what broke me from even caring about football was the knee. You know, you know, whether you knee or not, if you just stop focusing on it and let it
Which
go.
One? Tim Tebow or Colin Kaepernick?
I would say both of them. Both of them. You know, they're both guilty of it. You know, one was kneeling for a religion and one was kneeling for a social justice or whatever. You know, ignore them both. Why do you got to put a spotlight on them? When you put a spotlight on them, now what?
Well, they didn't talk much about.
No, they didn't. No, well, exactly, because the state is replacing religion with them. If you can't see it, then you're blind, honestly. But what I'm saying is when you sit down and you just pull back and you look, it's easy enough to see. But that was what broke me from just any of it. I don't care. You know,
the irony of a mixed child, a man now, raised by rich white parents.
Oh, it's very ironic, of course.
Taking a knee for social injustice.
For half of it, yeah. Just like,
and guess what? He hasn't played another down of football since.
I seen a mixed guy we were watching the Squid Games, and there was a guy, you could pretty much clearly almost tell the guy was mixed. And then he starts talking about his being black, and it's like, you're choosing to be black because the propaganda pushes it out to you that that's the way to be today. And that's fine. You pick whichever side you want. You should probably be a smart person and say I'm both, or just they have a class for that. It's called mulatto, technically speaking, but whatever, it's still, I don't, whatever. I don't care. I'm just saying the guy was talking about when I finally gave up sports, I felt like I had gained a whole new day. Sunday was now my day. And I learned so much in the not following.
Sunday is the Lord's day.
The guy was, you share it with football, don't you? You share it with your Lord and Savior in National Football League, don't you? So
football's
say what you want.
Like 3 months a year. Football's like 3 months a year. Oh, okay, 4 months.
Well, still, then you got the college and all that, and the Saturdays. It's like your weekends. I just say he said he felt like he got his weekends back and he could do something. He's like, man, I got my weekend back, man. My life. He said I felt so much better when I just stopped. Yeah. He said I didn't sit down like I got to hustle off to church. I got to be there. Things that just force you to do things. But I'm saying pull back and look around, which is why I've always told you when we have our religious debates, pull back and look around. See where it came from, follow the origins, look what came before it. Look the consolidation, the hybridization. If you don't, that's fine.
But it's like those debates where I don't know if you've seen them, but people think Christianity is a European religion when it's not. And that one guy was from Africa. Said Christianity was in Africa long before it was in Europe.
I'd argue that. I'd counterpoint that. It is a European. Came out of Rome.
Today's version of Christianity.
It came out of Rome.
It's from Europe because
it came out of Rome.
King Henry changed. King Henry changed.
Where's King at? Where is he at?
Well, he's dead.
England. Well, I'm saying what region? Rome to England, Italy to England. That's European.
Yeah.
Would you say the narrative of Ukraine? Would you say that's a Baltic?
Russian.
A Baltic, a Russian, or an American? Well, our narrative, what we know about Ukraine, would you call that an American narrative, a Russian narrative, or a Ukrainian narrative? What we know about it, what's being pushed by the news, that's an American agenda. It's American propaganda.
Well, sure.
What you know about a religion that supposedly took place in Israel and the Middle East and Africa, like Egypt and all that area, a regional religion there that was written out of Rome and then hybridized out of and advanced out of England. Yes, I would say that was definitely a European style propaganda. Council of Nicaea and Emperor Constantine. Is it the Nicaea or what do you think? England and Italy? Is that Europe?
They already ate. I have a little Mexican running around my house here.
Huh?
That's what we call the dog.
Council of Nicaea, yeah.
Dubbies.
Emperor Constantine, First Council of Nicaea, 325. 325 AD is when the.
And what does AD stand for?
Anno Domini. You call it after death. You call it after death, but it's Anno Domini. Legal. It's the clock. It was a clock.
Just like when people predicted the end of the world after the Mayan calendar. Yeah.
Yeah, things really have sped up since 2012, haven't they?
Well, yeah, they've definitely sped up.
You would have never been able to tell somebody in 2011 that a man is a woman, and it's okay to put your pecker in his ass and watch his winky wane. You know, never. Oh no, that's straight. Don't worry about that.
Dude, I gotta go to sleep. Oh my goodness.
I know, but you would have never sold that shit in 2011.
What about the ones that have full beards, but they have makeup on and dress like a woman? I just don't
you can put a lipstick on a Cheney and still a Dick Cheney.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the pig out there at Exit 87 barbecue. They put lipstick on the pig and panties, but it's a male pig. That's what it reminds me of.
Oh, out in Jackson.
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't stopped at that guy for years. I tried him. I went to like 15 or something. I think I got one of his sandwiches and I ate it. And by the time I got to Dixon, I started burping real bad, and the taste just. I was like, I ain't getting that.
I like his barbecue.
Maybe it was a bad day. I don't know. I never went back.
I like the whole hog breakfast sandwiches too. The sausage is about that thick.
Huh?
The sausage is about that thick.
Oh. Yeah. No, I ain't really got too much more, honestly. I don't know about you. You got anything else for today?
No. We was talking about the mix, and you was talking about them picking the meat back. You know, I have a family full of mix, and I just tell them to embrace both their cultures. Learn about your wife.
I was watching the mulatto comedian who was funny. I mean, sometimes the comedians will tell you the truth, but he was at least a thinker. Sometimes comedians are thinkers, but he said, I'm mixed. Some of y'all call it mulatto, and for all the ladies in the audience, that means I'm white from the wallet up and black from the dick down. I thought that was hilarious.
That's awful.
Oh, come on, man. That was hilarious. That was a good joke. It was
all I can say personally, I think some of the most beautiful people are mixed people.
It's
just the tone of their skin.
Well, I'm just
their facial features and things. So I think they're
well, y'all, sometimes it can go horribly wrong. Sometimes it can look good. Just a matter of mixing. But I mean, I don't know. I need to shut the fuck up. I'm about to say something.
Yeah, don't say anything bad.
No, I wasn't. I was just thinking, look, we got a pug. Eventually. Oh God. What?
That's why I was making. That's why I was making fun of one of those. We call the little dog we got a Mexican because it's got different color, like brown and black and brown and black on its face. We say, look at that little Mexican running around. We're not trying to be offensive. We're just making fun of the dog.
I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm just saying, why can't science be science? But no, if you ain't got nothing else, I ain't got nothing else.
What? That went out the door when there's more than two genders, didn't it?
Well, races.
There's no more. There's no more sides.
No, there shouldn't be sides. I mean, hell, you can be a pig. Put some lipstick on you and call yourself a 87 pork sandwich. These days, I don't know. But I guess we'll see y'all guys next week. I mean, we're gonna get out of here. And, got some things to do, and Spoon's got to sleep. Oh Lordy, I think we had a decent show, don't you?